Last night I woke up and my shirt was wet from sweating. I hate
That is
that.
the worst. I do. I really hate
It's
that.
like, what the heck? And then
Yeah.
it took me like 10 minutes to figure out if I was just drooling that much, but
Or just sweating.
impossible to drool that much. It's just sweat.
Yeah.
Brutal. All right, let's do this thing. What's the name of this podcast? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the I'm Here For It podcast. Real people, real conversations, real life. This stuff matters. And I don't know where you're at or what's going on in your life, but I'm here for it. Our guest is here for it. And man, this episode is going to be a banger. Is that okay to say that? I don't even know
Sure.
what like it's I think it's gonna be good. We didn't
I
record
hope
it yet.
so.
Like this is a so, so it is with great pleasure that I introduce to all of you the very first guest on the I'm Here For It podcast. Let's
How
count how many
exciting.
times I forget the name and
Of your own
yeah,
podcast.
of my own podcast. My friend, my coworker, my colleague, we work together at for EFCA East, which is another kind of district-wide thing, and we've co-hosted, we've co-produced other podcasts, specifically the Church Chat podcast, which is one geared for church leaders, and it's always a lot of fun. Welcome, Emily Gardner.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's always super fun to chat.
Well, welcome to this train wreck that is episode one. Really, episode zero was like the trailer episode. Did you get to watch it?
I did. I didn't watch it. I listened to it on a
Oh,
walk
you listened to it.
yesterday. So,
Okay,
yeah, it was
cool.
great.
You took till yesterday to you crammed because you knew that you were coming on. So you didn't
No,
listen to it till
I wanted to listen to it anyways, but I my time is limited, Josh, and so I
Hmm.
was going on a walk, thought I'd multitask. It was great. I'm
You are
excited.
very busy. Your awesome husband Tim is a campus pastor. I call him for advice from time to time on what it's like to have multiple locations. And you have two awesome children who are like,
Yep.
I think middle school age, right? Almost
Getting there.
getting
Our son
close.
is in fifth grade and our daughter is in fourth grade.
How things been going? Good.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Like this season has been an interesting season for us and our family. So I'm sure we'll talk about some of that. But yeah, it's been good. I'm Thursday is bagel day in our household, bagel morning. So Thursdays are always good days for me. So
Yeah, you and Tim pick up some good bagels from somewhere?
Tim runs on Thursday mornings with a local running group, and they start from our local bagel place. And so he always brings some home. So
No,
like
wait.
Thursdays are just a joyous, it's like it's almost Friday and we get to have bagels. So it's always a good day.
So they start from the bagel shop. Do they end there too? Because right now in my mind, I just picture Tim running like devoted, loving husband with a bag
Yeah.
of bagels. It's entire.
No, he drives to the bagel shop. They
Okay.
run and then they end at the bagel shop. And
Okay.
the bagel place doesn't open till 6:30, but they open early for them for the runners. So
Oh, well, that's kind
I
of
know.
so fit and so many carbs. See,
Exactly. That's hand in hand.
I do the bagels, just not the running. And
Hmm.
that's probably the problem.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you. I mean, Tim wakes me up. I'm like in bed with a bagel. So,
I
he's
thought
doing the
you
hard
guys
work.
were you were a runner too, though. Don't you guys?
I I you know what? Part of my mental health journey this year is recognizing that I don't love to run. I love to be outside and I love to move my body, but I running is not my favorite. It causes me kind of more trouble mentally than it is
Really?
helpful. So but I love to walk. So
Oh
I'm
man.
that like lady walking
I
down
feel
the
like
street,
this is good news. You struggle with anxiety. We're gonna get to
Yeah.
this later. I struggle with anxiety. Um, and I feel like this is the maybe the nicest thing about this episode. You just
Mhm.
like gave permission for people because all you hear is like exercise, move your body, you gotta do it. And
Yeah.
we're like, yeah, no, running is worse. We can just
Well,
walk around,
for me, it's worse
mosey
for
around
me.
the yard. You
Yeah.
got
No.
anxiety, move, but don't move too fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Just meander.
Embrace your
I love
meander.
that. I love that
I'm into
word.
it. Yes, I am into that for
Meander.
sure.
Just meander around the yard.
Yeah.
Just take a
Hmm.
meander down the street. Eat
Hmm.
while eating some bagels. That's like the ultimate.
Exactly. It's a
Okay.
win-win.
So what's your go-to anxiety snack food? Do you have one? You
Okay.
like to go to something?
It's nothing specific, and this is going to be super basic white girl of me, but I'm going to say chocolate.
Chocolate is such a easy answer. What did you
Well,
call it? Like such a typical
it's a basic white girl answer.
white girl answer.
Yeah. However, it more specifically, it would be like a chocolate chip cookie. That is like hands
Oh, so
down.
now you're I don't know what mine is. Probably ice cream. I
Really,
got a problem with ice cream. And
we,
since this is the I'm Here For It podcast where we share entirely too much about our lives, I'm also going to say that ice cream doesn't do well with my digestive system.
I
So
know.
it's like I go to it. Oh man, when Jen was pregnant with probably all the kids,
Hmm.
but I remember like standing in front of the freezer with a spoon in my hand and the freezer door open in the middle of the night because I was so stressed out. Just spooning. Didn't even take the carton out of the
Just,
freezer. Just
yeah.
popped the lid, tilted it over, scooped it right
Yeah.
in.
What's your go-to flavor? I mean, if you could
Oh,
pick.
Breyer's mint chocolate chip for
Really?
sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you go minty all
always.
the time with your sweets?
I like mint. I like
Okay.
mint. I don't like, but like other mint chocolate chips probably aren't always my favorite. Like,
Hmm.
I say like way too much. But that Breyer's like white minty
Okay.
icing with the chocolate chips,
Hmm.
that's the
Hmm.
ticket. Yep.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Stewart's, like the
No.
gas station? Oh, okay. So I think it's a regional thing up here in New York, but we live relatively close by to a Stewart's, and it's a gas station, but they make their own ice cream and dairy and whatnot. And so, I mean, we have spent gobs of money. It's cheap, but like we go there in the summer probably every week, every other day to get ice cream. But I'm also with you that it now I have had to cut out pretty much all dairy. And so it just makes me so sad that I can't have ice cream.
So you just switching topics.
Yeah.
Now that we let everybody know that we can't tolerate ice cream anymore.
Yeah.
Um Switching topics. You just listened to the trailer episode yesterday
Yep.
because you are so busy. So you caught a bit of the vibe. What do you think?
Mhm. I'm into it. I'm here for
Yeah?
it, Josh.
You're here for it? I mean, it's me, right? Like I was trying to
Yeah.
just make it be me, and it's different than other podcasts that we've been, well, mainly Church Chat is the one we've been a part of,
Hmm.
where we host, and that one's very, very successful podcast for church leaders, but it's like not mine. Man, I just want one. It's just me, you
Which
know?
is so fun. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was listening to it, remembering because you kind of share a little bit of like the history of how you got to having your own podcast. And I remember like probably like 2 or 3 years ago looking at graphics that you had come up with for this.
Yeah.
So it's been such a long time in coming. So it's very exciting that it's here and
That's
happening.
right. Yeah,
Hmm.
you helped give advice on the
Yeah.
main graphic for this. I think it changed a couple little things,
Yeah.
like some fonts and stuff lately, but before the re-release, but it wasn't, I didn't change a lot. And
No,
man, that was a long time
it
ago.
was
The book was
absolutely.
dead
Yeah.
when I sent you those images. Like the
Yep.
book was a dead project that I thought was gonna be never to be revisited. And that thing, I just came back to life and took forever.
But look at you now. You've got a podcast and a book.
Yeah. And thanks
And
for the help with the book too. For we didn't mention it, but you are also the communications director and a very skilled editor, wordsmith, and bookworm. Is that a
yes.
thing anymore? Bookworms,
Yeah, I would consider myself a bookworm for sure.
bookworm, book
Mhm.
nerd, book.
Book nerd,
What are the
book
other?
enthusiast, whatever you want to call it. I love books. Clearly,
And
you've seen my
you
background.
are a person who actually is in a book club. How's that going?
I I am the world. Okay, and this is surprising. I'm the world's worst book club member. I have not read the book club's book selection in months, and I haven't showed up to the past like 3 or 4 because, and here's the deal. This is part of the issue is that it's on Sunday evenings,
Yeah,
and even though I am not a pastor, I'm married to a pastor, so Sundays just are a lot.
it's a lot. It's
It
an
is a lot.
energy. I'm sure
Mhm.
Tim is just destroyed. How many services do you guys got
We
kids?
only have two.
You have two?
But yeah, I mean, we get home around 1:30 and it's just a lot of people interaction and Tim is a higher functioning introvert than I am.
Yeah.
So he can do it, but both of us are, yeah, zonked.
So can we talk about anxiety a little bit?
Yes, we can do that.
Is that okay?
Yes, of
You've
course.
struggled with anxiety. We've talked
Yes, we have.
a lot about it. When did you realize that was a thing?
Um, I think I would have said that I struggled with anxiety, if you'd asked me that 10 years ago, I think I would have said yes. I've always been familiar with what it looked like to struggle with anxiety because I have family members who really struggled with that when I was like an adolescent. Um, and so I had watched what that looks like. I would say my anxiety has become more of a constant friend, friend or foe.
That's an
Uh,
interesting way to
yeah,
put it.
yeah, probably not a friend. Um, probably within the last 5 or 6 years after having kids, I think that
Yeah,
it
that
really made
ramped it
it.
up. But
Yeah.
it's we kind of make light of calling it a friend, but really
Mhm.
it's like close. Like there's some sort of weird for those of you that don't know, I'm everybody close to me knows it's in a book for crying out loud. I've talked about it publicly
Yeah.
many times. I struggle with anxiety too. And there is like an intimate relationship with it. So I could understand why you would say my frenemy almost
Yes, it's a friend of me for sure.
because it's there with you and you have to like you cohabitate, not like it's another personality, but like your life you're kind of cohabitating. And I always tell people that even when my anxiety is under control and I'm doing the work and I'm avoiding the trigger, I'm, managing it well. And there's definitely tools that help, right? Get there. But I still tell people it's like holding a poisonous snake by a tail. Like that's the
Mhm.
image I have of it. It's there and I'm good. And I got this snake by the tail. I'm kind of used to holding it like that, but it could turn around and bite me at any moment if I'm not paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how it is for you, but I think at this point I've walked with it for so many years that it's hard for me to like imagine what it looks like to not struggle or have it be that like parallel track in my brain that like
Mm,
even if I'm doing okay, there's still this it's with me, it's traveling with me and could
yeah.
derail at any moment.
Yeah.
So,
Like I have to tell myself sometimes, nope, nope, that's not true.
yep.
You're not going to die
Yep.
because of this,
Yeah.
because it's a weird, spot on your arm or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And yeah.
it triggered with motherhood. That's
Hmm.
kind of like where it ramped up. What do you think that's about?
Yeah, I think for me a lot of the source of my anxiety comes from my desire to be in control and to have control over my life. And because I'm a believer, I love Jesus. I know that, I mean, I know theoretically I am not in control. There are things I am in control of, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not in control of my life. Somebody
Yeah.
bigger and wiser and more loving than me is. But I love control so much because I know that letting God, gosh, I'm going to be such a basic person. Letting Jesus take the wheel doesn't mean that bad
Jesus,
things aren't going to
take the
happen. The wheel,
wheel.
yeah.
Shout out,
Um,
Carrie.
yeah. So, but I want to avoid any and all bad things happening to me.
Yeah.
And so I think that, oh, if I can manage this or manipulate this, um, then maybe I could keep those things from happening. But because I know that that is what causes the anxiety in my life. And so
Yeah.
when you stir in kids, then there's like you and your heart like walking around
Yeah.
and there's more things to if those bad things were to happen, there's more pain that would be caused because of these little beautiful human beings. So, yeah, just more to
Hmm.
lose, I guess.
Yeah, and you think about that, and your like heart has split in a couple of different things. It's not
Yep.
like it's divided. Somebody told me, I think a friend told me that when you're having kids, your heart like blows up the first child and you think, man, I didn't know that there was this level of love in me. Like I was
Hmm.
capable of this kind of feeling. And then I remember thinking when we got pregnant with our second child, thinking like, I wonder like how that works. And
Hmm.
talking with the same friend, and they're like, no, it just explodes again. It's not split. Your heart is not divided.
Right.
It just like keeps finding new levels of um, love, like a greater capacity for it. And then you're left worried,
Hmm.
like, holy crap. Like I didn't want to leave the hospital worried. Like
Yeah.
I wanted these nurses to come with me worried.
Yep.
Like that was
Yeah.
me. We drove and I had this my first child, we had this big blue Dodge Ram truck with like the factory lift package on it. It was Jen Jen
I
makes
could
fun
see
of
you
this
driving
truck.
that.
She
Yeah.
makes fun of it all the time because of the color. It was like a I forget the name of the color, electric blue or something. This is ridiculous. And I think I drove that thing like 25 miles per hour on a highway with my
Yeah.
first child in the car seat.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I mean, people talk about it all the time, but the idea that they're like just sending you out the door with this small peanut that
Yeah.
you're expected to like care for without them, checking on you every hour is wild. Absolutely
So
wild.
it's amplified it. How has it changed how you think about it? Motherhood, like mental health, anxiety.
Yeah.
Do you guys talk about it? I mean, fourth and fifth grade, are you
Mhm.
guys talking about it? Is that a conversation you guys are having?
Yeah, we do talk about it. It's one of those catch-22 things, to see your kids
Yeah.
uh, um, struggle and pick up things that you have modeled to them is
Yeah.
really kind of disheartening. We have one of our kids, especially, is like a mini me, unfortunately, of those traits in myself. And so it's painful to
Mm.
see your kid struggle with the same things you're struggling with. And we really try to keep an open household and we want our kids to feel free to talk to us about anything. We want to share our struggles within reason with our kids so that they um, feel comfortable sharing with us.
Yeah.
And however, when you're also in process and there was several times when that one kid is like come to me with this fear or issue or struggle and I'm like, yes, bud, that is I don't know necessarily what to tell you because I would be feeling the exact same way, so it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to continue the nurture cycle of me modeling what it looks like to be an anxious person, but it's
But
tough.
isn't that a good thing? Man, yeah, I'd be like it, I've in some aspects that has to be a healthy thing to say to a child, like that
Hmm.
they know. I don't know if that's modeling anxiety or unhealthy ways of handling it. I think talking about it is right, probably the best thing to way of handling it. And for you to say to a kid, yeah, I would be feeling that exactly. I think that's pretty powerful stuff. That kid
Yeah, I
knows
mean,
like, hey,
yeah,
I'm not weird, I'm not broken, there's nothing wrong, mom, because ultimately he knows you're okay, you
yeah,
know.
that's true.
And so
Hmm.
he's looking at you like mom would feel the same, or her, I don't know, and it doesn't matter,
Yeah.
but they're looking at you going, um mom would be dealing with this the same way, and look, she's good, she's happy, her
Hmm.
and dad are good. There's something good about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think that that is good. I think it's just so I sometimes don't always even know what to say to myself when I'm spiraling in anxiety
Yeah.
and how to get out of it or how to tell myself the truth. So when a kid comes to me and is spiraling about something I would also spiral about, I'm just like, ooh, if it were me, I don't feel like I have great advice for you now because I'm not even sure how to like to preach to myself in that moment.
Yeah.
So, but thank the Lord for spouses who are better capable at that.
There you go. There you go. It's a partnership for sure.
Hmm.
What's your anxiety look like? Like how does that I think it looks different for everybody.
Sure.
Like I've had crazy panic attacks you and I have interviewed people
Hmm.
who have not been able to speak. Do
Yes,
you remember that? That's a
I
church
do.
chat episode.
Hmm.
But and that like was shocking to me, even as somebody who has dealt with severe anxiety.
Right.
So what's it kind of look like for you?
I think that has definitely um, changed over time. Probably for the worse, unfortunately. When I would first struggle with anxiety, it looked like kind of normal worry in the back of my head, just like thoughts that maybe you just couldn't get out of your head. As, my anxiety has gotten worse and or amplified by life circumstances, world circumstances, whatever. Uh, I had my first panic attack 5 years ago, right after we moved here. And whether it was like brought on by vertigo or vertigo happened because I mean like I couldn't stand
Yeah.
up straight. It was like
Wow.
yeah, and I was like I couldn't breathe very well and it's like all the things of a panic attack. I remember like walking through the hallway and like having to stabilize myself. I thought like I was gonna fall over walking down the
Wow.
stairs, coming down. I was dealing with some health stuff which was causing me the anxiety and um just like telling Tim, he was sitting on the couch, and I was like, "Babe, I cannot, like, I can't breathe. Very, like, I don't. My heart's racing, and I'm not sure why I feel this way. So yeah, certainly panic attacks.
Mm.
I am somebody who has like heart palpitations when I get
Yeah.
anxious. And stuff. So a lot of physical manifestations of anxiety, which because I am very medically anxious, kind of creates this cycle of like, that then
Yeah.
those symptoms make me anxious. So,
Yeah, and it just kind of like deepens and deepens
mhm.
and deepens. I
Yeah,
I feel like I can localize mine, not intentionally, of course,
right, right.
but like I've had anxiety, and I have medical anxiety too. I think
Hmm.
I think it's I don't. It started after my mom's cancer diagnosis
Sure.
and my brother's car accident, and I don't know how those happened in a very short amount of time, within a 2 week span. And my mom's battle with cancer wasn't very long. It was stage 4 pancreatic cancer, so it took her pretty quick. Um, and I think that I before that in 2008, I don't remember having anxiety issues. I remember being nervous, and I probably
Hmm.
had anxiety about some stuff, but it after that, and I didn't realize it for a long time. I had a lot of anxiety attacks, and medical issues, like
Hmm.
anything medical. Always thought I was dying. I've gotten I've talked doctors into so many tests on me that they probably went back and were like, why in the world did I give that guy? I can be very convincing.
Yeah.
And I remember one time getting a test done because I was convinced I had cancer in my jaw. And I Jen and I were in the doctor's office with this brilliant ear, nose, and throat doctor, and he's going through all the tests and showing us how I'm fine, and I just have an enlarged salivary gland from a stone.
Hmm.
Um, and he's like, "There's a reason and everything," and I was not convinced. Like I couldn't even hear him or listen to him, and I remember going like, "Yeah, but come on, there's got to be some cancer in there or something." And he looked at Jen and he said, like turned his body
Yeah.
and looked at Jen and said, "I'm just gonna tell you
No.
because you're he doesn't
Yeah,
this
he
guy is
cannot hear you right now.
this
Yeah.
guy is not hearing me, but your husband is fine and there's no need for even any further checkups or any testing."
Oh
And
gosh.
she was just like first moment she's like, what is this? What is wrong with this dude? But I feel like I can localize it. So
Hmm.
different parts of my body, if I fixate on them and then jump on WebMD a little bit, and next thing you know, I create pain,
Yeah.
physical pain.
Hmm.
It's not real. I mean, it feels real. It's real, felt real, but it's not from something. The
Yeah,
brain
the mind
and
body connection is
whew,
a mystery and it is unreal to me.
so
It's
powerful.
scary to me, honestly, because then it's like does your, I mean, like I've had scenarios in the past year that was like, I'm not, like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Did I like create this bodily response out of my own grief, fear, anxiety, or did the grief, fear, anxiety create this bodily response? And I guess it doesn't even matter, but like for somebody like me who appreciates like knowing from whence something comes, like I don't
Yeah.
like the mystery of like, well, it happened and there it is and it's fine, but it happened because I want to avoid it the next
Yeah.
time, you know? So
Right.
it's wild. So
I'm uh I'm a mess.
you're
With
talking to another mess for sure.
I've argued with a surgeon and an anesthesiologist dressed in a gown and left the room minutes before going into surgery. Called my wife. She's like, "You're done already?" I said, "No, I'm not getting surgery. You gotta come pick me up." I
Oh my
just got in a
gosh.
fight with the anesthesiologist. Yeah, it was that one was like into that a year after I have this lump in my arm. It's just a normal cyst,
Mhm.
but it's annoying. And they were like, "Let's take it out and simple surgery." And I was under the impression that they weren't even going to have to put me underneath anesthesia. And
Oh,
then or lightly, and then they were like, "Yeah, no, you're going out."
you
And I'm
gotta
like,
be
"I'm
knocked
not.
out.
I'm not going to wake up. I'm going to die. If you
Yep.
put me out, I'm going to die." And it was that fight or flight just flared up. And there was
Yeah.
this one older lady nurse, and I mean, she knew what was going on with me, and nobody else did. The anesthesiologist is arguing with me, and then we're yelling at each other. The surgeon had to come in and settle us down, and he was trying to figure out a way we could still work it out. And that
Right.
anesthesiologist is like, "I'm not dealing with this guy." It was bad. And then this one sweet nurse is walking me down the hallway to get changed, and she goes, "Sweetie, it's your body. You don't ever let anybody tell you what you need to do or have to do. You can do what you want to do, and I understand, and it's okay." And I think she knew,
Yeah.
like, this guy's having major anxiety. It's
Yeah.
not about anesthesiologist or any of the other stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know how we got on. That's crazy. I'm sharing too many stories.
Well, do you feel like are there things that you have to avoid that are just too triggery for you, anxiety wise? Or are you more of a like exposure therapy kind of person?
No, exposure therapy is not good for me. Um, I I just avoid certain steps. And I don't know if I avoid triggers, but I've learned that there are things when I feel like there's something going on with me that very likely it's anxiety, stress related, not medical catastrophe related.
Right.
So I stop before, because I don't know about you, but when that triggers, that goes into research stage and then spiral and then research and then spiral and then at some point in there and then testing and doctor's appointments and then moments of feeling okay because they're like, yeah, it's probably nothing, but then crashes again and
Hmm.
spiraling. And somewhere in there, I record videos for my family and keep them on a hidden drive on my computer,
Yep.
messages in case I don't make it. And yeah, so what I just call it for what it is. I do practice some breathing stuff and like some of the good stuff like I wrote in the book, some of
Hmm.
that acronym.
Yeah.
I
I
I
love
do
that acronym.
practice that
Yep.
acronym, the breathe
Hmm.
acronym. Usually I don't think I get past um like the T. Usually
Hmm.
that's good enough for me. Anyway, yeah, so I still do that, but I just avoid deepening the triggers. I don't go
Hmm.
on WebMD. I just shut my computer and phone off when I'm feeling it. And I just work on those other type of things. How about you? Do you avoid triggers?
Well, that's because, okay, it sounds like you are good with information and you like that helps you. For me, like I would be somebody who avoids doctors. It would make me nervous to get tests even though like I
Really?
knew it was probably just fine. But it's the what if, like if I get the test, what if it comes back and I'm like shocked. And it is the disaster I was thinking it was, even though I
Yeah.
can identify, okay, this I'm probably spiraling because I'm just anxious and it's nothing. But then if I get the test, so I'd rather just not get the test and like
Avoid it.
but avoid it. But then that causes me more worry because I'm worried like, but really what if it, it's all this like wild manipulation mentally that doesn't really work out. But yeah. But
That
yeah, and I think for like for medical things, like it's triggering all of the commercials on TV that are like, if you have this, whatever, take this, the medication things, I like have to leave the room. I just
really.
cannot. Yeah, because just things that normal people would not find.
Well, don't say normal
Yeah.
people.
But
Everybody's normal. You're normal. Just
yeah.
anxiety. People that don't have that anxiety thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, my gynecologist on a completely like offhanded comment mentioned this thing about a certain type of cancer that now that fact lives rent free in my brain and I am terrified that I will get that type of cancer. And
Oh
she didn't even
man.
think anything of it. But
Yeah.
like it just and it's one of those things like you can't just like start hushing everybody before they speak. But I have to be really careful with doctors that I now I'm very forthright about like unless I really need to know this, please don't tell me any like I
Do
just
you have
don't.
good doctors that like get that?
Yes, for the most part, they are very kind to me about
My
about it.
my family doctor, general practitioner, Dr. Gorski. I'm going to say it on here because there's probably local people, and I just love Dr. Stanley Gorski.
Hmm.
He gets me. He
Yeah,
knows that information helps and that testing helps. And so he'll be like, this is probably nothing. I'm very sure. But if it will make you feel better and if you need confirmation, we can do this, this, and this.
right.
And
Yeah,
then
see,
the
that's
options.
funny.
And then at the start of that process, I mean, years ago, I'd be like, yeah, let's do this, this, and this. But then I've learned to trust him, and he's also a cancer survivor, so
Oh,
he's like
yeah.
perfect for me. But so then now I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need
Hmm.
to. And he last time I did that, he kind of like smiled at me. I'm like, I think I'm making
I'm
progress.
making progress. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
I mean, I don't know. He doesn't know me. We're not buds or something. He's got a lot of patience, but like he's must have really good recall or really good notes or something because he's got me locked in.
Yep. Yep.
Um, Speaking of kids, this has gotten heavy. I
Hmm.
want to see this is the have you seen it section of
Okay.
this podcast. But I feel like we'll just lighten the mood before we get into some other stuff.
Great.
Does that sound good? Like
Yes, please.
enough anxiety crap. So I don't know if you've seen this. I'm just gonna show it to you and then we can talk about it.
Okay.
The title is When 5-Year-Olds Feed Their Pets.
Hey mom, I get Fluffy dinner tonight.
How how'd you open the can of tuna?
Yeah, too. I didn't give him tuna.
Billy, what did you give him?
Well, he's actually very hungry because he's a growing tat. So, I gift him Hammy.
Oh no.
You fed him our hamster? You fed him Hammy?
Mom, he's a growing tat. Of course I gave him Hammy. Also, Hammy pooped on my shoes that one time, remember? So that he didn't even want to be alive that much anyways.
I were the psychopath. You fed him our pet hamster.
Who else am I gonna feed him? I already feed him 2 of the fish.
First you eat the fish, and now you fed him 2 of the fish. That's why the fish are going missing. I knew there were less in the tank.
Yeah, there would be none in the tank if I was actually good at catching the fish, but it's so hard to catch a fish with your hands. You get like water everywhere and it's not good. You are the devil. Where did you come from? I don't even understand you. What?
I wish people could, well,
I'm
people
gonna
watching
put it
this
on
could
the
see.
YouTube.
Yeah, because
I'm gonna add that clip. That is from Aaron Doe at Aarondoh. And this guy, he does all of these like 5-year-old, like parent 5-year-old
Hmm.
things. And at first I just didn't hit with me. My oldest loves these videos and is constantly sending them to me. And then I don't know if I just paid more attention to his facial,
It's the facial expression.
like, because the 5-year-old voice, and he just got that like perfect 5-year-old,
Yeah, like
like, what?
nonplussed,
Yeah, like,
whatever.
doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
And then the parent who's like shocked face that
Yeah.
this is my offspring.
And what has possessed you to do with such a thing? Yeah.
Parenting's an adventure.
Oh man. Yeah, and you're parenting older kids. It makes me so nervous. Like fifth grade is old enough. I don't even know how to do.
You just ride the wave. That's what it
Oh,
is. It's just a matter of just caring, loving, correction, and encouragement, just riding the wave. I don't know. Each chapter brings really good things. My dad always used to say that to me, because I'm a guy who hates goodbyes. I hate leaving one chapter and turning the page. I would never say goodbye to my family members when we would leave. I just didn't do it. I hated it. And so I think from a young age, he always was like, each chapter brings really good stuff. It's sad to see an old chapter go, but it brings fun and exciting and new stuff, and your relationships with these people, your children especially, deepen every
mm,
chapter. So that's a reality. I think everybody, I think, will experience that. Yeah. Speaking of, are you up for getting into some more deep stuff? I want to talk
sure.
about your uncle a little bit.
Sure.
So you had an uncle, he's just with Jesus now,
Hmm.
who passed away not that long ago.
Yep.
When did he pass away?
He passed away on July 2nd last year.
And you guys had a special relationship.
Hmm.
You were really close.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
how
he
did that?
was like a father figure to me. I mean, my dad and I don't really have much of a relationship. And so yeah, my uncle, it's my mom's younger brother, is pretty much, other than my stepdad, the most constant male figure in my life. So,
Younger brother too. So he
hmm.
was like the cool uncle who slid into that
Yeah,
those
man,
kind of roles for you.
he was amazing. And that, so we're just, my mom and him were always really tight. And he, um, they have three boys that are just around like my brother and I's age. So it's like they are like my extra brothers. We've always just been super tight, those two little family units. So yeah, it was really, really rough. And um, it's funny that we're talking about that because today, so April 24th, he was like the anniversary of, like obviously it's the day he died is sad, but today
Yeah.
is specifically um, was the day that my mom like drove out to
Hmm.
tell me that his cancer treatment has stopped working. And so like I've been dreading this day for a really long
Oh
time, just
no.
knowing. So it's interesting that I didn't even think about it when I uh, scheduled this recording, but like, yeah, it's like marks the year of like pretty much the worst year of my life. And so it's just I've been dreading the like this started, yes, this like grief process, but like also random like health things happened to me this past year and just a lot of circumstances that were so stressful. And so I've felt like, oh man, I don't want to get to this day and I don't want to repeat that at
Yeah.
all, ever. I don't know if how you feel about anniversaries. I know March is not a great month for that for you, if they strike you in any bad way, but I just haven't really known what like today would look like or how I would feel. So
It's hard to anticipate. I'm so sorry, by the way.
yeah, it's more of just a like, huh. And I think for me at this stage of grief and processing, um, it's like hard for me to know what I need or what it's going to look like or
Yeah.
it's even though it's been a year, it still feels so fresh at sometimes. So
How
it's
have you
like
been processing it? Like how have you just
I'm laughing just because I don't know. Like I am in therapy, which is great. This was the pretty much last straw of what prompted me to start therapy.
Yeah, we're going to talk
Something,
about that
yes,
too.
yeah. And so like that has been really helpful talking about it. I mean, I feel like processing takes so much. It's passive, but it also you have to be intentional about
Yeah.
listening to your body, listening to your heart, giving yourself space. And I'm not great at that. I'm
Yeah.
discovering I like black and white, and grief is not black and white in
No.
any way, shape, or form. And it can be different. It's hard to predict. Like you can't, I don't know if I'm going to wake up and feel like crap
Yeah.
or be sad or need to cry, or what if I run into a picture of my uncle and I on my phone, which happens all the time. And sometimes I'm okay with that. Sometimes I'm not okay with that. And
Yeah.
it's hard. And um, so yeah. And again, it's like it doesn't end. Like it's not gonna stop. It'll just change and morph. And
Yeah.
that's hard for me to be okay with. So
I remember somebody telling me grieving starts as a group thing, but then it becomes extremely intimate and personal and lonely because you kind of like go through the process together with people who are also sad, but then everybody goes their own way, and then you're left processing it through, and nobody really understands what it's like for you, what you had, the memories, the care, the relationship was unique, and so the grieving is unique to each individual, and that makes it tough too because not the people closest to you can never really completely understand exactly how you're feeling or what you're walking through.
mhm. Yeah. And often, I mean, like, you know, I think what made it doubly challenging for me um, is because, well, and I think you would probably have the same experience that, you know, I have my own unique grief about what my uncle meant to me and the source of that unique grief. But like, I'm also very aware of who he was to my mom, who he was to my brother, who he
Mm,
was to my aunt and my cousins. And while those are different, clearly, a lot of maybe what delayed my grief and complicated it was just I wanted, I knew, even if it was just a shadow, like, obviously my aunt's grief is going to be different than my grief, but obviously we loved the same person. And I didn't want to do anything in that grief to make it worse for them in
mm,
any way. And so that like complicated, or maybe not complicated, but it made my own grieving process probably delayed because I was like, I can't feel the depths of this because I don't want it to, I didn't want to center
yeah,
like I didn't want to make it about me, because
yeah,
they're dealing with their own stuff. So like, yeah, it's such a unique thing to walk alongside people who are grieving, but also be grieving yourself. I think that's a little bit, we can, I'm sure you encounter people at church all the time who you're needing to walk alongside of, and it's a little bit easier to be removed from those people. You may not have intimate relationships with the people they're grieving, but you can help them. But when you are also walking through that grief,
yeah.
it's just so challenging.
You
So,
feel it for you, you're feeling it for everybody else. Yeah, that's beautiful. It doesn't feel it, but what a beautiful mess that you were able to that you just felt all of those things. That sounds terrible. I feel terrible like just saying that out loud, but it's true. Um, super hard. It's
yeah. And
just
I mean,
really, really hard to walk through.
it is. And that's where it is great. Like I think for a while, okay, so he passed away in July and I did not start therapy until October. And I think for a while it was like, okay, well, what is this person going to offer me that I don't already know, or that um, yeah, but I mean, that's, I think, one of the big barriers that kept me from, I mean, there's been plenty of seasons in my life that could have been, I could have benefited from therapy, but I have pushed it off because, it's like, well, in theory, I know all of what this person's going to say, um, which is the hubris of that statement is kind of beyond. But,
Yeah.
but that aside, like, um, it just, I don't even know where I was going with that, but that
I,
it's good to talk to people.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was shocked. I forget what the context was. It was probably an interview from Church Chat. We were interviewing
Yeah.
somebody and talking about counseling. Mental health stuff comes up a lot on that,
Mhm.
in those conversations with leaders. And I think we were like, I forget where I was talking about going to counseling. I've been to counseling lots. And you were like, yeah, I think I'm finally gonna go or something, or I booked my first
Yeah.
appointment. And I was like, what? Because you were such a big talk, like you've always talked
Yeah.
like in support of it.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, people should go to counseling. The counseling's great and all this stuff. And I just assumed that because you were such a proponent of it, that you had actually experienced it and lived the benefits of it.
Of it.
And then you were like, yeah, no, I've never gone.
Yeah.
It was shocking to me.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because um I have always been a proponent of counseling. I think it's amazing, partly because I've had family members, back in the day when counseling was not socially acceptable in Christian circles, where it was fairly taboo, um, be benefit from counseling. And so I've always viewed it with respect and like something that is benefited. And like my husband has been to counseling, like we've been through seasons where he's done that. So like it's one of those, like I have just been once removed and have, like I said, and you have witnessed some of the things that have probably I should have been in counseling for. Um, but there have been seasons where it's like, man, yeah, it really would be good to talk to somebody, but there's always been like, well, it's a lot of money, and am is it really worth it? Like, and am I really worth it? Like, I can just get past it, like, or by the time I've decided like, okay, maybe I should do this, I feel better. Like the thing that has caused me so much stress is like past. And so I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. But I think this was just such a lingering thing that I knew I wasn't gonna get past it. Like I'm not gonna ever get past my grief or
Yeah.
whatever, but having somebody to talk to about it. And there were some other random circumstances that was just like, wow, this is too much for me. And it is hurting my like physical body. I'm like having things that are
Yep.
happening that I really like, I need to process. Um, so yeah, done and done.
Well, congrats that you did it.
Yeah.
That's very good to hear.
Yeah.
It's interesting the things people say when they're not wanting to go,
Hmm.
or I think sometimes it's too much money, or it's this or that, or I don't have time, or I should be good. I don't need to fix it, or maybe it's not that big of a problem. And they're all, I think, things we say maybe because we're afraid it's an uncomfortable step. It's vulnerable, very
Hmm.
vulnerable. And I think maybe that is a hang up for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things like I understood in theory, like your counselor is there not to judge you. It's you can talk to them about anything. And I, as witnessed by parts of this conversation, I don't mind telling, like I'm fairly open book and
Yeah.
I care about being authentic and real with people. And um I do cry a lot. It is like my response to all sorts of emotions. So like but like it the act of like sitting, my counselor and I meet like on Zoom,
Yeah.
and but like I have had sessions with her where she is staring at me and I am bawling, and it is so uncomfortable. Like it is so uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
kudos to Ellen. She's amazing. But yeah, there are elements of even though that person is there to support you and gently, you know, reflect your own issues back at you with love and care. Yeah, it sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not always fun. So,
I don't think people understand too. They don't just offer perspective or reflection or help you process your own thoughts. They also give you tools.
hmm
My counselor this last time, Chris, he gave me so many tools to help me process anxiety.
hmm
And it was, and gave me boundaries and things and helped me know how I was going to handle triggers, known triggers because of work and stuff. And it's not just me talking about my problems and somebody listening. That's not counseling. It's so much more than that. You think the stigma's dropping a little bit? I mean, I think it dropped everywhere but church world for a long time.
yeah.
And then I don't know. I want to believe that the stigma's dropping. I talk about mental health stuff a lot,
hmm
and it gives a peop. I feel like it gives people a lot of permission to talk about it too. I don't know though. Just asking because you guys are so involved in church. I'm involved in church, and I feel like here the stigma has changed.
hmm Yeah, I hope so. And I think, I think we're in a unique situation that my the counseling practice I go to is was started by a friend of ours at church. So,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
yeah, and I know from her, I've done some like website work for her. So I am very intimately acquainted with her practice that like there are other people from our church that go there. They don't see her specifically. And like, I don't see my friend, I see somebody else in the practice.
Right.
Um, but so from my perspective, yes, it's changed and people are more willing to do that. But on the same token, like when I reached out to the therapy practice, I happen to know the receptionist. We're friends and we go to a church. And when I reached out, I was like, hey, I think I need to I need to start thinking see it. She called me immediately and she was like, were you joking? Like, is that for was that for real? I was like, yes, I please sign me up. I need to start seeing a counselor. And so I think there's still a stigma that like you have to have a big issue to see a counselor or to be going to therapy instead of like, hey, I just want an outside perspective every once in a while. Like I think
Yeah.
I think even if you didn't have this big trauma in your life, it's worthwhile to go to
Yeah.
chat through life. And
Parenting,
yeah,
how
life is
not to
hard.
be an idiot.
Yeah.
Let's list all the things people need to go to. You remember that like you need Jesus thing?
Yes, it's like you
I
need
need to
therapy.
we also need to start a trend like you need therapy.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna slap stickers on people's cars.
Yep. I love it.
I just
I'm here
watched
for that.
you and your children in the grocery store. You need therapy sticker. Is
Yep.
that judgmental? Is that wrong for
No, well, it is judgmental, but it's true. So, but
Hey, I'm
yeah,
here for it.
yeah,
It's the first time I used the title in the
there you go.
podcast
Sneak it
episode.
in.
Sneak it in. You ready to switch gears?
Let's do
Done
it.
being serious.
Yep.
What's living rent free in your head? Do you have something?
I do, but uh it is therapy related,
Are
kind
you
of.
serious?
Yes, which is so funny. I am not like a movie quoter, and I'm not somebody who like can cling on to like song lyrics or whatnot. But
Yeah.
there are three movies that I can quote fairly well. One is Robin Hood, the animated Disney version. My
Yeah.
brother and I can pretty
Solid.
much quote the entire thing.
Solid.
The
Solid flick.
other is Fletch and Fletch Lives, which are
Dude,
80s Chevy Chase
I
movies.
gotta watch them now.
They are phenomenal.
Oh,
And they're kind of
yeah.
inappropriate, like they're
I don't care.
semi-inappropriate, but
This is
they're
my
so good.
podcast. We're allowed to. I don't
Okay.
care. I don't have to
So,
go like, oh, don't watch it, because it's naughty. No,
well, but they are
Fletch and
like
Fletch too.
Liz. Okay, so I can quote
Those
those
are
and
Chevy Chase sleepers,
oh man, they are
like deep
phenomenal.
tracks.
Yes. And so my brother and I like quote those all the time to each other. I'm making motions that look like a genuflect, but it has to do with one of the movies. So, um, And the other movie, and this is what is right now living rent free in my brain, is What About Bob, which I know we've talked about before.
What about not on this podcast?
Okay, yeah. So because I am currently in therapy and, talking to kids and whatnot. Like, there's so many times where I'm just like, baby steps, you need to do baby steps, or,
Yeah.
like take a vacation from your problems. There are so many iconic lines from that just kind of happen in my head every once in a while. Or if it's raining, it's like, you can borrow my slicker, like they're just, or when he's eating corn and it's like, oh, Faye, is his hand shucked? I won't do the whole thing, but
Yes. Do the whole thing.
nope, I
Oh,
can't do it. But and I'm
that
so
dinner scene.
excited that we have Friday movie night every week, and that is what we're watching tomorrow. And I'm
Are you
so
watching What
excited
About Bob?
with our kids. Yep, we've
Oh,
decided that it is finally
I
time.
remember watching What About, that was my dad's favorite movie.
Yeah, it's
He had so
amazing.
many copies of it.
Yep.
And that dinner scene where Bill Murray's sitting at the dinner
Like,
table, I just
yep,
remember my dad like could not breathe. He was
yep,
laughing so hard.
yep.
Like it was just, and it's one of those you're laughing at the movie, but you're also laughing because of him. Like the whole scene is hysterical. Phenomenal
Yeah,
movie.
yep. And my son is has fish, like he has a little
Yeah.
aquarium. So I just think of like Gil and the little
Yeah.
fish, and I am somebody who sometimes needs to tell myself like, okay, baby steps to the car, baby steps to this, like baby steps in this work project. That is always in my brain. So
I
that's what's living
love
rent free.
that's a Bill Murray. Is that a deep track? Do people know about that movie?
I hope so. It for me, it is like a
So you
complete
just hit
classic.
Chevy Chase and Bill
Yeah,
Murray
Bill
just
Murray. Yeah. So again,
real.
my taste is weird, but
No, those
those
are
movies.
classics.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah.
Timeless.
They are timeless. So, what's living rent free in your brain?
Oh, thanks for asking, Emily.
Yeah.
I don't have anything as funny or as good as that. There's this song that has been on, you ever get things stuck? I think
Hmm.
sometimes my brain like fixates and I have things stuck. So I watched the end of a show. I don't remember where the show is streamed, on all of the gazillion streaming
Hmm.
services out there. Not that we have subscriptions to all of them. And you're a book nerd, so I'm going to look
I
really
am.
smart.
Okay.
Again, this podcast is not an endorsement of anything, but I also don't care. So here you go. I'd never tell you this on our
Yeah.
other one.
Well, if you tell me that you're watching Bridgerton, I would die laughing.
No,
Okay.
no, that would be.
Because that
Although
is
I've
based on a
listened to
book.
the soundtrack.
Oh, I bet it's actually quite
The
good.
soundtrack is phenomenal,
Okay.
but
Duly
I'm not
noted.
going that naughty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reacher, the Reacher books
Reacher.
by Lee
Okay.
Childs. So I have read the entire series of those books. They're like
Okay.
the cheap
Yeah.
novel trash, read them at the beach in a day or two
Hmm.
kind of book.
But they're
But
mysteries, right?
I
They're
love
like,
them. Yeah, it's about this
okay.
guy. Well, Alan Richardson is they brought it. Is it a Prime series? I don't know if it's Prime or Netflix or whatever. But Alan Richardson's this guy, this actor. He's huge. He's a Christian,
Hmm.
and he plays Reacher the way Reacher was supposed to be played. So Tom Cruise played Reacher in
Mm.
the movies, but Reacher in the books is like this ginormous guy, and Alan Richardson's this ginormous guy.
Okay.
And so they started doing one of the books is a season. They've done two seasons, I think, so far. But the end of this last season, it's two or three, on the video, the show, they played a song by Mondo Cosmo. You ever hear of them?
No. Is that a
So
group or a one person?
their group. It's kind of basically it wraps around this one guy. His name's Joshua. He's from the Philly area, and Joshua Ostrander. But they write. I don't know how to describe their music. It's different, and they have some really good, very different vibe. So it fits me for especially driving.
Okay.
And they have this one video, this the end of this Reacher series. So I've known about Mondo, and then I've known about Reacher, and I'm watching this, and then at the very end of the last season, they like play a song to wrap up and tie off all the pieces and show how everybody's going forth into the world after this crazy traumatic, experience. And they play this movie Shine, and it starts with like "Talk to me, Jesus," and it's like just
Okay.
goes on. But then here's the bad part. So I'm here for all of it, right? So it starts like with this very like spiritual kind of like thing. I think there's some Catholic influence in there because there's like Mary is mentioned later in the thing, but it's
Okay.
mostly like Jesus, and it almost sounds like a prayer. The verse though is or the chorus is like let them get high, let them get stoned. They'll come back to you, Jesus, if you let them.
Okay.
They'll come back to you, Jesus, if you
Yeah.
let them go. So it's completely wrong theologically or whatever, but
But it's a bop.
it's a bop and it's got a great vibe. I'm gonna tell people like wait till the end of this, which is coming soon, the end of this episode, and then go listen to it on your drive somewhere.
Yeah,
What's
I'm excited to
interesting
pull it up.
about it is it's I didn't read a lot about it. I don't think he's very religious or Christian necessarily. I don't know what he believes or whatever, this Joshua guy or the band. But I did see one little clip where it said it was a prayer. Like that song was like a prayer that came out of him during a very difficult time in his life, watching friends go through a very difficult time.
Interesting.
And so I thought, yeah, man, I can vibe with that. So
Cool.
what's one piece of advice you want to give our listeners before we cut out here?
Uh, I was thinking about this, and I think be kind to yourself,
You.
which sounds really kind of lame and platitudey, but I do not mean it in that way. I have learned a lot in therapy that nothing you will not serve yourself in any way, shape, or form being unkind to yourself.
Hmm.
And being kind to yourself can only help. Like it, I happen to be a very self-critical person, and there have been various times when I've said something or pushed back on Ellen, my therapist, and she's like, okay, how's that working for you? Like, it's not working
Yeah,
for me, clearly.
that's such a good line.
Like so it's never gonna hurt to be kind to yourself.
What are you here for in this season of your life?
Again, I am going back to my basic white girl, and I'm gonna say wearing sunscreen. I'm so,
You're here
so
for the
excited
sunscreen?
because I tend to be very simplistic in all things, but it is worth it to me to put on sunscreen because it is sunny outside. It makes me so happy that I have to add that extra step so I don't become a lobster. I'm so excited that it's spring. I become a shriveled mess of a human being in the winter, and so I feel like I'm coming alive in the sunshine. We've got beautiful weather here
Oh,
in upstate New York, so
I am glad you are here for sunscreen. I hate sunscreen,
yeah.
but I'm here for all of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
you
you.
like that
Yeah.
little like?
Yeah, oh, hey, snap.
Hey, and with that, we close out this incredible episode with Emily. Emily, thank you so much for being here. It was an incredible conversation. Thanks for being real and honest and deep and emotional and all of those things. It's such a cool, that's the vibe. That's what it's about. That's life.
Yep,
Messy. Not
it
always
is.
black and white. Messy.
Yep, always a
And
pleasure.
yeah, so thanks for so much for being on here. And thank you, listeners. You guys are absolutely incredible. I'm here for it. I hope you're here for it. Whatever this stage of life looks like, whatever you got going on, I'm so here for it. And thanks for being here for this episode. Until next time, see you later. Be kind. Be kind. I'm gonna say be kind to yourself.
There you go.
And we'll see you on the next episode of I'm Here For It. Thanks for tuning in to the I'm Here For It podcast. Just a quick reminder, the thoughts and opinions shared on this show are our own. They don't necessarily represent the thoughts and opinions of our employers, our places of business, our families, or maybe even people that don't want to be associated with us anymore. And honestly, sometimes we even question our own thoughts and opinions after these shows have aired. We're not doctors, therapists, lawyers, experts in anything except maybe overthinking things. Well, maybe some of our guests are some of those things, but for real, this podcast is not about offering you professional or therapeutic help. We're just here having fun. It's for entertainment purposes and maybe a little bit of education. Yeah, we hope it can make your life better and make you smile and encourage you a little bit. But seriously, this is more like a group chat that you didn't know you needed. So don't take anything too seriously from us without at least double checking it with someone who actually knows stuff. Stay kind, stay curious, and no matter how weird it gets, we're here for it.